G'day fellas, welcome back commanders, all that good stuff. Today we're going to be talking about why you should stop making AFUS and start doing this instead. Yes, I know, it's weird coming from a guy like me who absolutely loves AFUSs. Now I will just preface this video by saying we do occasionally make AFUSs in this video. However, in between that, we're doing stuff. And I'm going to show you the way that Eco has not necessarily changed, but the way that I have changed the way that I play Eco. I'm always looking for opportunities to do damage to the enemy team, and I've got a whole bunch of tools under my belt ready to pop at a moment's notice, and it all depends on what's happening on your side of the map. As an example, if your GOC is doing really well, then you could look to go for a platypus strike right here. If your beach C is doing really well, then you could look to go for a drop right here. In this game, those are two potential tactics that we will be using to impact the course of this game and to change the outcome in our favor. Now, the old way that you played Eco was very much in that you're the insurance policy for the team. It's all about T3. You got to make sure that you get there. You got to get there quickly, and you got to make sure that you defend against the enemy's T3. Well, the truth is, you can be killed much sooner than getting to T3. So that's the goal for this game. Let's get into it and talk a little bit about our strategy. Now, this will be one that you'll be familiar with here. We're opening up with quite a few wins, 9 wins, the single energy storage, and we're opening up with our first constructor coming down. Our constructor will be making his way down here, building a single wind turbine and then doing a bit of reclaim before returning back to this spot so that he can hold the blueprint for us. Now, wind is not playing games with us today. We've got a wind speed of 6 and it's only declining. Now, should we be adding solars? Well, there's an easy way to answer this. Here are the ways that you should answer this question, okay? Number one, are you starting to make wins? If the answer is yes, like if you've only just started making wins and wind is really bad, make a solar. And the next answer, or the next question you should be asking is, have you finished making all the wins that you should? So in this situation, I only want to make 9 wins. And because I only want to make 9 wins, I've finished making my wins. Therefore, I'm just going to make solar instead. Because if I was to make more wins, it's not really going to do anything for me in the meantime, or in the short term. And in the long term, it doesn't really benefit me because I didn't want to make more than 9 anyway. So that's essentially it. So that's part of the reason why we go for 2 solars here. It delays us, but at the same time, it gives us a bit more stability because as you can see, despite wind going back up to like 5.4, it's now back down to 3.5. So it's just one of those things where it's like these solars are really giving quite a good ROI. The other thing to note is this is part of the reason why titles is always a really good decision. Of course, you can always go solars from this position, but yeah, title gaming is just very, very strong. So, of course, we've reached out to our ally and said, hey, 430 metal and our light transit 3 minutes, please. Now that, of course, is always going to be delayed when you've got a situation like this. He's also asked for a T1 con, so we've just gone and handed it off right here. And now we're going to be looking to just complete everything and just make sure it's all set up. So this is running very late. Don't use this as your standard benchmark. Maybe use it as your benchmark for when wind is bad. You can see we've got a little bit of idle time here with the commander as well. The consequence of handing off that T1 con like that is that we didn't put down the blueprint because it's important that he gets his T1 con sooner rather than later. And with wind already being this bad, you don't want him to get it any later than what it is. So yeah, just a bit of idle time right there. So let's just check in and see what's happening on the other side of the map. Our commanders, our team captains for today, we can see that we've got Apex, who is once again over in this position. I say once again over in this position. I feel like he always plays in this position. And he is over on the sea. And at the same time, our team commander today is Sunshines. So we've got the high OS 34 and 39. We've blown our commander up towards the top side of the base. I much prefer doing this, and one of the things I've gotten in the habit of doing is eating all these trees. Even if I've got 0 metal, I will still eat all of these trees until I'm full energy. Then I will blow the commander. It's much better to do that because we're at 19 win right now, but if win was to go back down to 1 and we need to pump out this constructor, you can see 6.9k on the energy. So it just makes a whole lot of sense to do that. And of course, incredibly important, we're going to make sure we drain out every little bit of metal that we can from this commander without actually eating it. So you want to be really careful. Just try and get as much as you can. Or yeah, we've left 29 in it, and I feel like that's probably about the best to do it. So what I like to do is move the construction turret away from the commander, so now you can't, like, now he won't just automatically go up there and do it. And you got to make sure you guard this. Your allies, they will just grab a Lazarus and they'll be like, hey, reclaim everything. And then eventually they'll come back here and be like, hey, I'm going to reclaim your commander. And that commander could be the commander that you're going to use to degun like 46 Titans right here. It's happened before to me. So I'll just say that now on both sides. So that's essentially it. So we've managed to drop down our T2 con. I think maybe when you've got low wind like this, it's probably not worth going for this Amex, just because we're obviously really delayed already in this build. And we're just delaying it more for our ally. Like, Sunshine's is sitting over here, and he's like, come on, man, it's 5:20, and I don't have my T2. What's going on? And, of course, he knows that there's been bad wind, but at the same time, you know, there's been bad wind. Anyway, it's one of those things where I think we need to change the way that we play a little bit more, depending on our circumstances. Bombing run coming through. Arm bombers. I mean, I was going to say, is there much to be scared of? And then I saw the positioning on those energy converters. I was like, oh, actually, there's quite a bit to be scared of. Yeah, not the most conducive right there, but we do have some T2 coming through. Soon, it'll be coming through. So that is good. We'll check in on the enemy. Oh, look at this bombing run, by the way. Absolutely crazy good bombing run coming through from the Emperor of Romania. So he's managed to do quite a bit of damage here on the way in. And, oh, don't say it ain't so. Look at that damage. So poor Sunshine's off to a really bad start here. Enemy air absolutely outclassing him here. Meanwhile, you know, these are arm bombers. That's the best part. And, you know, oh, gosh, arm bombers. The reason why arm bombers are a joke is because they're funny. Okay, anyway, let's check in with the enemy eco, see how they're doing back on the other side. Looks like they're doing pretty well back here. So we're at 6 minutes 30 here, which is the normal benchmark for having all 4 Amexes up. So he's at 1 and... So one little thing, one bit of feedback I will give, always try and complete a single Amex at a time. Never try and do like multiple at the same time. So even here, as an example, we're able to get this guy going now just because we've completed these first 2. But we will leave this guy on hold until he is ready. And so in this circumstance, this Amex could have been up, you know, like a minute ago. And then think about the metal difference. That's 9.2 versus 2.3. You're talking about a 4x difference for what, 60 seconds? It adds up. It adds up quickly. And because of that, it means that you fall behind. Like right now, so he's 7.2k and we're about to hit 8k. So 8k versus 7.3k. So we're 700 metal ahead at the moment just because we've been focusing on our Amexes and just the specific one that we want to build. Okay, do we speed it up at this point? Probably, but then we'll run out of... We will very quickly need to move it back. So as soon as we finish scaling our Amexes, we're going to scale our wind, or rather building our Amexes, we want to scale our wind. And now we're looking, where can we go and what can we do? So how is GOC looking? How is Beach C looking right now? Not very good. We're 7 minutes in and Apex is gaming. He is having a wonderful time. Commander's out of position down here to the south. All of the base has been killed. Almost certainly these ships will be reclaimed by Apex, and inevitably there will be units that make their way from the beaches into the backline. So that's something that we need to be aware of. At the same time, we've got the brown player on the South Sea, and he's facing off against a pretty high OS 30 here. So we would expect a little bit more, not we should expect, but we would hope that there's going to be some success down here in the South. So hopefully the brown player doesn't beat your light blue player. But let's check back in at base and see how we're doing. Now, another tip that I will give you, this is a hot tip. This is one that I've never seen posted before. Turn your factory off factory guard and instead right-click the factory to guard it. What this is going to do, you know how sometimes you tell your constructors like go and do a crazy walk and then they come and then they repair the factory or guard the factory? What this does is it just stops them from doing that and they just go straight to the front and then just like this guy right here literally walked the entire way around and then I was like, oh yeah, that's right, I got to fix this. So basically what you want to do, factory guard will be turned on by default. If we go have a look at any factory right here, any goth baddies in here, let's find out. Factory guard. So that will mean that the constructor will go like this and go, oh, I'm gonna repair you. I'm gonna guard you. What happens when you do this is it just goes to the front and then immediately is guarding it. So basically it just makes it so much more efficient, right? Because your BP can get stacked up faster. It might not seem like much, but you think about it, right? If you've got to run all the way around to here every single time, and it starts to add up real quick. Anyway, so we've now moved these two bad boys back, the construction turrets back, and we're now focusing on just scaling our conversion a little bit here. We don't need to go too crazy with our conversion, not at this stage. The main thing is that we just want to set up all of our wind and try and get them going. So we want to do 2 by 2. So what do I mean by that? I mean 2 butlers making two 2 columns of wind. So they're not doing 4 columns like you often see where they go like they're doing both. We're just doing the one set. And you can see that at the moment we've got 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 butlers that are going to be doing that. So we're going to aim, I think normally I aim between like 14 and 16 butlers to be making our winds. Next thing that we're going to do is also add in our converters over towards this side. And one thing that I will definitely encourage you to do, just go ahead and just like, not that much, but like do something reasonable like this. And as soon as you put those converters down, people are much less likely to come up here. Because very often I will get players that are even like quite good players. They will come back here and they will start building like right here. And they'll just start building wins. And it's like, hey bud, like I hear what you're doing and I see what you're doing, but like if you want to build wins, like let's go here or here or here or even over here. Wonderful. Like this right here, this is really important real estate. And now I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, but hold on, you're putting converters there. Right. The converters are there, but they're temporary. They're going to get blown up at the 30-minute mark. And normally around the 30-minute mark is when they get blown up. And I will like quite literally say to people, hey, come, this is free now. Come build up here, please. And then that way, the idea is that we can utilize this space in the short term, but at the same time also keep it protected so that people don't build wins up here, because it will happen. It will happen. So we've now at the 10-minute and 50 mark, about the 11-minute mark. How many of our butlers have we got? We are sitting at 23 butlers. So a decent amount of butlers. We've got our T2 out. We haven't made anti-nuke at this point. We're at 11 minutes here with no anti-nuke, I know. But the good news is we won't need to make anti-nuke because we're going to kill anybody who tries to nuke us before they can get the nuke off. That's the idea. So now what we're doing is we're scaling our build power here in the base, which is something that normally you wouldn't see. Normally you'd see a person go off fusion at this point. And that's because we're perfecting our strategy here, the platypus strategy. And we've identified, okay, look, we're not winning this C 100%, but at least enough to push out the cove. And that's what we need, because we can come in, we can stick a jammer right here, and then we can make a whole bunch of platties in this little position here, and hopefully we should be okay. And you can see that at the moment, like Light Blue's doing a pretty decent job. We've got T2 coming in from the side of our brown player. So normally I'd say this is probably a bit too early for T2. T2's great, but the trouble is you're not going to have a decent mass of units to be able to hold against an enemy who just really sticks it in T1. And if Blue realizes this, he could just rush this down right now. Obviously, he doesn't realize, but he should be realizing when he sees this advanced construction sub coming across. So meanwhile, back in the base, we've dropped down an air lab, and we are now, we have now begun moving out all of our construction turrets. So we pick them all up, we grab the aircraft constructor, and we head out over to this island. The goal is, once again, to put down our jammer. And meanwhile, behind this, we're just going to reclaim the lab and just go make some wins. Like that's pretty much all these guys can do at this point. We don't want to invest metal anywhere, because if we're investing metal, we're not spending them on platties. So that's the goal here. And I've definitely changed the way that I do this platypus as well, or this platypus timing. So you can see we've basically told all of them to put down the construction turrets in this area, and it looks a little bit weird and buggy, but if you just leave them, they'll eventually find a spot to put it down. Like sometimes you can see that on the cliff, sometimes they'll be inside each other's hitboxes like this kind of is. So that's essentially it. So once this construction ship is out, what we want to do is put down our T2, and after that we're then going to build a whole bunch of nanos, or a whole bunch of construction turrets. We want to, I think the reasonable number is somewhere in the region of like 15 construction turrets, because the sooner you get construction turrets out, then the faster you're going to be building your attack force. That's the idea. But the other thing you need to be careful of is that you need to have enough metal in the bank so that you're able to actually get everything out, because you need to reclaim this lab. So you can see the enemy brown player has now left. They did indeed go and get wiped out by the enemy player who was making T1. So we do indeed see it. And you can see someone in the chat, or someone spectating. There was quite a few spectators in this game saying, the fuck is this play? And people a little bit confused initially if they haven't seen it. You can see Mara's coming in as the suggestion. Some people saying flagship. But of course, we know the truth. The truth here is that we're going to get a radar jammer out. We're going to build a whole bunch of platties here. And we want to slowly reclaim our advanced shipyard. We just do, as I said, you just got to be cautious about making sure you've got enough metal. And another thing to note, what we've done at home, is we've paused all of our wind building butlers. And that's because these guys use a hell lot of metal. You might not realize it, but they use a lot of metal when they're doing this. Each one 3.5 metal. So you're talking about, what is that, like 45 metal for all of these per second that's being used up. And obviously, if we're building here for 2 minutes, then that's, you know, it's a lot of metal. That's a lot of metal. So that's the whole point of this. The whole point is to build up our... you can see we only went up to 13 construction turrets here. And then we're going to rally all of our platypus out over onto the jammer. The jammer's going to keep everything safe, everything hidden, at least ideally. And then we're just going to continue pumping over and over. Now, meanwhile, over towards the north, this is the next thing that you do need to be careful or fearful of, is that the enemy backline, or rather enemy water GOC player, might be doing something similar. So you can see right here, Sunshine's is calling out like, hey, make a radar. There is going to be a comm walk almost certainly coming through right here. So we need to be very cautious about this. And you got to be careful with Apex. There's lots of different ways that he plays. I've seen him do seaplanes. I've seen him do salamanders. I've seen him do platypus. I've seen him do Murras. I've seen him... I rarely actually see him do flagship. So well done to him. Because as I said, GOC, not the place for a flagship, definitely. Yeah, meanwhile, we're just going to continue adding in more platties. And once we get down to this low amount of metal, then we can tell... Now we can tell our butlers to come back on. You can see how much metal they're using here. Is it really only 32? I feel like it should be more than that. Yeah, it's 3.5 and there's 14 of them. So they're using quite a bit there. But yeah, back towards this position. So now what we're going to do is just start reclaiming everything. So we reclaim the last little bits of metal out of this. And then we use that metal to infuse here. And you can see that the metal like kind of... It's very difficult because at the same time you want to keep adding platties, but every time you add more platties, it's just going to take longer to hit. And every second longer is a second that you might get scouted, or a second extra that they've got to react, or a second closer to finishing their AFUS. And we want to make sure that we're able to get in there quickly. Okay, sorry. I just had a little bit of a cough. Drongo on Discord with Sunshine's probs. Sunshine coaching him to do more than make AFUS badly. No, I wasn't on Discord with Sunshine's, but look, I'm sure he's got a lovely voice. We'll say that much. Yes, we weren't there. There's Apex doing the comm walk inevitably, and interestingly comes up after purple instead of going for the Geo. I guess normally we expect Geo to be quite prepared for the comm walk. So yeah, that's probably why Apex has come up here. Thought he could get away with it scot-free, I guess. Meanwhile, back towards our base, what's the goal? We want to start scaling our build power. Very important that we do this, and you can see that our metal is going absolutely crazy here. Keep in mind, we've been able to scale energy very effectively. Our converters are also really good. We're sitting at more than 100 metal a second, which is pretty good considering we're also doing this. Like, let's just pause right now and ask ourselves, what has the enemy eco done in this time frame that we've seen, that we've visibly seen? Well, have we seen any units? No, we haven't. He's made an AFUS. We're at 16 minutes in, so that's pretty good. He's sitting at 5.19k energy. We're sitting at 5.18k. We're sitting at 105 energy or metal. He's sitting at 83. So we're not only are we ahead of him, but we've also got a whole army of platypus. So that's essentially it. The reason why that's effective is because scaling winds is just very powerful. The moment you build a wind, as soon as it's completed, you get that infusion of energy. Here you can see we've got the jammer that's preventing any kind of knowledge of this happening. Meanwhile, we've had an OP takedown here with Bear, able to take the South Sea player, but unfortunately, as we can see, it's probably not going to be enough to hold off this many platypus. There's quite a few. I don't know exactly how many there were. I think normally around 45, 50 is what we attack with, but able to do some decent damage. And the whole idea here is that we want to, at the very least, we want to kill one player. That's it. If we can kill one player, we're happy. And so this right here, I mean, I always consider this player already dead. If this C has lost, this player is basically dead. They're relegated to scaling for the next 20 minutes. That's essentially it. So the army of platypus are going to come through. Now, one of the key things to note is as soon as you see the commander, back away from the commander. He's got a powerful D-gun. Fortunately, these guys didn't get the message. We want to go around the base. So these guys come around, and then these guys are going to go up like that. We never want to go into the base. And we want to try and always go for the BP first. Most important thing. We'll talk about one of the interesting things that we do here, just to make sure that we preserve as many platties as we possibly can. We spot the AFUS, and of course we know the AFUS is the big button. We click the button and we kill the enemy, but we don't want to do it too quickly because we want to make sure that all of our platties stay alive. So what we're going to do is we're going to click here and we're going to hold fire on all of our platties, and we're going to move all of these guys out because they're right to go. These guys here, we're going to try and get them away from this, and then we're going to use these ones to kill. Unfortunately, we lose a couple platties here, and these guys all manage to make it out safely. Meanwhile, down here, we've got even more platties that are just being annoying, bit of a nuisance. This guy has left. This guy has been killed, so our attack has been successful, and arguably we could have even been more successful if we were paying attention down here, but unfortunately, I could be toxic, a little bit toxic, takes his ally that's left, and then comes up and D-guns us to the face. Kind of toxic. Anyway, we've even got more platties back here. Yeah, platties are good. So we've completely left this. We're no longer here. In fact, what are we doing? We're making AFUS. In fact, we've just finished our first AFUS. Look at that timing. Wouldn't you know it, 19 minutes. So, you know, at the start of this video, I said, hey, don't make AFUS. We're at 19 minutes and we're making our first AFUS. I reckon that's pretty good. That's got to be close to a record for how late we are. We're also looking to get our commander up here. Now, one of the key things to note is we want the commander up at about 20 minutes. You could even argue for a little bit earlier than that. So normally after I do my fusions, I'll do normally, in a normal game I play, I do 4 fusions. And after that 4th fusion, I'll drop the anti-nuke as well as get the commander up. The trouble is if you go for it any later than that, then there is the risk that Marauders come through and they will do quite a bit of work. And the commander is the perfect counter to Marauders. You want to wait until those Marauders walk on top of the commander and then just hit him. Just hit him with the D-gun. That's it. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, Sunshine's, I don't know whether or not he got the message, but enemy backline is dead. They are dead, my friend. There is not a lot of work you're going to be able to put in over here. I mean, he might be able to get a D-gun over here. Let's see if he goes for it. Honestly, I would just drop right here and D-gun these labs or D-gun these fusions and then just get out. But you can see he's kind of getting chased by the Jag, so he can't do that. So Bear doing a really good job of making sure his enemy is getting out. But of course, there's not a lot of air presence from the enemy, so it really means Sunshines is just able to continue attracting attention. Meanwhile, over towards this side, we see an interesting blob of red units. Sunshines, he's looking for a new home at this point, and he's found one. The orange base. It's going to be Neb Leet, Neb 1337. Let's see how the reaction comes in. Unfortunately from Neb, not a whole lot. I would have loved to have seen, I mean, you don't really know where he's going. That's the trouble. So there's not really much reaction you can do when your enemy's got that much mobility. So Sunshine's able to come in, get a lot of D-guns off. Always feels great to D-gun things because you know that they're not going to be rezzing them back up. So normally one of the things I love to do when an ally's base has died is just go in and res everything and hand them back over to the ally, sometimes. In this case, you can't do it because everything is dead. And indeed, FUCK, says Neb, as his lab gets D-gunned and everything goes boom. So once again, another player going to be going down right here. So we're in a good position. We've also got our 3rd AFUS now coming up. And the question is, how many do we think we can get away with? Because we know that there is inevitably going to be a Marauder threat. We know that there's units out here. But the good news is we've also got allies assisting us. We've got a whole bunch of T2 tanks that are sitting here. And we've got our commander backup. So if, worst case scenario, Marauders do come... Oh, the Marauders are here. What are we going to do? We're going to stop making our next AFUS, that's for sure. And we're going to put down a T3 lab. But it's going to take time for us to get there. So the commander is going to come out on 30% health. It doesn't matter. 1%, 99%, doesn't matter. Just as long as the commander's alive, that's part of the reason why it's so important to keep that commander up. You have now got a way to stay in the game. And the trouble is, we've kind of built like this nice little highway. If he wanted to, he could absolutely come through down here and he would be able to cause massive harm to us. So we need to be really cautious about this. The Marauders do come through. Now, there's definitely going to be arguments that, hey, you shouldn't have gone for this many AFUS. I agree. I should have probably gone for 2 AFUS and then got a couple of Razorbacks out, maybe 3 or 4, reclaim the T3 lab, and then do it. Because now I've lost 2 allies because of this. So I agree. But we do see a couple of Marauders coming through. We've moved those Laz away so they don't give away the commander's location, and there we go. Commander handles everything. So we're absolutely fine. And that is that's part of the reason why we always keep that commander, just that little bit on the commander so that we can res him back up. And yeah, unfortunately for Apex, he does get D-gun. D-gun abuse, FFS, he says. Indeed, D-gun abuse. So now we've lost these allies, and unfortunately, it means that, you know, to be fair, like, look, I'm not going to disparage or say anything. I'm just going to say it's not like they were really doing a whole lot, right? Like, the main goal, if you've been taken off this sea, your main goal is to try and relocate somewhere and hope that the game goes long enough that you can become meaningful again. But obviously that's not really the case here. There wasn't really a lot of a lot being offered up. Now, of course, we could have had those Razorbacks in there. Probably would have done quite a bit of prevention there, but unfortunately we were a bit too greedy in that regard. So we got more Marauders coming through, of course. We had one commander up here that unfortunately wasn't cloaked, so it did get spotted, and he got baddies in here as well. We've got our 2 Razorbacks down here on the shoreline. Going to be able to force these guys to stay in the pond, and the commander going to be able to take them out. So everyone's going to be happy, and of course he knows what the outcome of that is. So now what we're going to do is just look to make sure. So one of the interesting things to think about, not interesting things, but one of the things to think about is if your enemy's making units, rarely they're going to be scaling. Okay, so what have we seen? We've seen like at least, what was that? Like maybe 15 Marauders there, and then we saw another maybe 12 Marauders here. So what does that mean? That means that that's a whole lot of metal that hasn't been put into AFUS. And if there's one thing I know about this guy, it's that he absolutely loves AFUS. So we can be confident in knowing that we can make more units because we've seen plenty of units come out from him. That's essentially it, because we've managed to take out the back line, we've managed to take out the air, and now the question is going to be about, okay, who's their next biggest threat? And obviously the answer is Apex is the highest OS in the lobby. Notorious, by the way. He should not be 34 OS. He should be much closer to maybe 60 OS. But look, we let him get away with it for now. And now more Marauders coming through. But, of course, we already knew that, there may potentially be more Marauders through. And as long as we're able to defend Sunshines, we should be okay. So we've got the first Mara, we've got a sneaky one, or the first Razorback, the second one up here, nice and sneaky. We've got the T2 tanks coming through. We've got a really good, solid defense in here. We've also got the Dragon's Claws in here. The Commander down on the south, if he tries any sneaky shenanigans, all the Razorbacks come through to clean this up. So overall, I would say this attack has been unsuccessful. If you only manage to kill, like, the same way in which I said down here, if you only manage to kill this guy, like, this guy's already dead. It doesn't really count. And the same thing goes up here. If you only manage to kill this guy, your attack's not successful. And we still see the Geo is alive, the Geo is doing well, therefore this attack has failed. We have managed to deal effectively with this attack, and of course we've also got a big reclaim field that we can now take that, well, Apex has decided, hey, maybe it's a good idea if I go and take that reclaim field. Well, not if the Razorback's got his way. And indeed, the Razorback does have his way. You can see, what does he do? How does he have... Oh, he's got a lab over here. He's putting up... He's putting these in. But you can see he's even making more units. So he definitely realizes now is not the time for scaling. Normally, you would see a whole bunch of AFUS back here. He's only got the one AFUS at the moment. So he is indeed scaling, but just a little bit more slowly. Really trying to make sure that he does as much damage as he can possibly get. But we've been able to shut it down. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, we're now looking to get... I don't know why we're getting a couple stilettos out. I think we're just doing stilettos because they're a little bit easier to deal with this kind of annoying attack when they come through everywhere, because Maras are notoriously fast. So you want to be able to catch them as well. So now we're doing something that you may recognize. Something that you may suspect is going to be happening very soon. Even though we haven't won this North Sea, it doesn't mean it's completely impossible to traverse it. So let's just leave that there. We're going to go back to AFUS just for a little bit. We'll return to your regular AFUS viewing shortly. So we've been able to hold this front. Meanwhile, towards the front, we've got the flag that's out here. Now, there's definitely an argument that this flag should be down over here and should be killing. But we've already seen the bubbles coming up, and I think it just makes more sense to have it just applying pressure towards the front. It looks like, I don't know exactly what the play is for Panzer. This is definitely the play, though. So well played by him to recognize that, hey, this is what I need to do. So absolutely. Could potentially see just a little bit more pork down here as well. And let's check back in on the back line. So we've got 6 AFUS now coming up. So if we were to compare how teams are doing, you can see that the enemy team, despite losing multiple players in the back line, still very, very close to us with regard to their metal and their energy. And that is a big problem because we've taken out both of them. And yet still, they're keeping up somehow. So we've got to find... Well, and we also took out Pond as well. So we have to find a way now to finish this game. And because there's a couple of different ways that you can do it. Because normally at this stage of the game, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, do I go bombing run? Well, yeah, you can go bombing run. That's definitely an option. If we look at the amount of fighters that are here, really not a lot of fighters, is there? So we could have easily won this game with a big bombing run if we knew that was the case. But we didn't have a whole lot of intel here. And granted, the enemy could just make a whole bunch of anti-air, but it's one of those things where you got to know the bombing run's coming in the first place to make the anti-air for it. So it's definitely the case that we could have gone into that. That's one way that we can quickly end the game, or the other way is through a jag drop, which has very quickly become my favorite play, so my favorite tactic from the eco position. This is incredibly powerful, and this is something I talked about in the last video as more Marauders come through. Look at him trying to just put Marauders on every single angle right now. He's incredible. One of the things that I love about, or one of the things I said in the last video is, I know people don't like Supreme. Well, it's not that they don't like Supreme, it's that they don't like that people play so much Supreme, especially me. I only play Supreme. But one of the things I love about this map is the conformity to meta, in a sense, because it allows you to hone your craft. What do I mean by that? It means that when everything's consistent, it allows you to improve things. It allows you to go, okay, well, I know what the enemy's going to do, so maybe I can do something that counters what they're going to do. It allows you to do that. And of course, look, there's obviously metas on other maps, but the truth is I don't play nearly enough to be able to master all those other maps and all those positions on those maps as well. Like, even here on Supreme, I feel like I'm only competent in Eco, Geo, and that's probably it. I would say maybe Eco and arguably Geo. I feel like Eco, we're probably doing pretty well here when it comes to our mastery of this. So this is going to be... I don't know what this commander was doing. This commander was guarding a nano turret. I don't have any idea how or why. Just kind of walking around in circles, the poor guy. But yeah, Sunshine's asked for him, and so I was like, okay, why not? I will give you that. Anything else important to talk about before the ominous sign of a Jag drop comes through? I don't think so. I mean, we're still scaling back here just because, as you can see, like we don't have enough build power to spend our metal, so we can afford to do this and this at the same time. Meanwhile, we've got ourselves a pretty strong scale coming out from Apex. He's decided, okay, you know what? The Maras didn't work. Maybe we could do something different. You can see he's going into a seaplane platform. Okay. He's also got the T3 gantry. He could potentially go into Titans, which is definitely an option for you the later the game gets. So let's check in and see. We're on 29. They were called Valkyries in the previous, in TA. They're called Storks now. And we've got 30 Jaguars, which were called Panthers back in TA, for all you old folk back there. I don't know about you guys, but look, I was born a long time ago. I used to play TA with my dad, and I very rarely made these units, but I make them a hell lot right now. We're very close to floating metal, so we actually need more nanos. And it's funny, you look at this and you're like, man, you got 6 wide nanos and you still don't have enough? It's like, yep, we still don't. So at this point right here, what we're looking for is we're looking for a way through. So I said, yo, escort my shit. So basically, we're relying on Sunshines right now to make sure that there is a clear path for us. He's going to scout for us. He's also going to make sure that there is no air that is looking to contest us. So we want to try and weasel our way through. And you can see, we somehow managed to do it. At the moment, all of the platties coming down. Apex knows exactly what's happening. He sees all of these units on his radar. You can see right here. He spots them all. He's pinged them out. Bear saying, Lamau. The death drop is coming through 30 minutes into the game, so a little bit later. There's the fighters trying to get shots to connect, unable to find a single one. And now, with a tactical control D, manages to take out, I think, about 2. So if he'd waited just maybe a second or 2 later, it wouldn't have happened. But now we're able to drop up here, and of course, we know what the target is. We know who the target is. It's all those beautiful AFUS in the back. And all of the Jags now able to bypass that front, which has got all these defenses on it, to bypass that sea that's got all of those ships on it and come straight through into the back line. Keep in mind, he's also walled himself in here, so his allies can't even help him. He's got to control D his wall to let the allies in. And now all the units have turned around, but it's too late because the AFUS have been focused down, and that is Apex sadly going out. Sorry, Apex. Sorry to do you like that, brother. But yeah, that is absolutely one of my favorite tactics. It just... I know that Apex felt so comfortable in this position right here. He felt like nothing could touch him. The wall was here. His sea was completely covered. And it's just like this one little gap. If you just had like one anti-air ship on this position right here, or like, and then maybe another one there, maybe another one there, it completely shuts it down. Because the anti-air ship can just focus on the specific target. It can say, okay, I just want to focus on those storks that are flying. Boom, 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 boom. All of them dead. Just all of them dead immediately. And, well, to be honest, we probably just wouldn't go that way. We'd have to try and find another way. We'd probably end up dropping down here, walking into all these mines, because I don't think we've got Junos. Yeah, we don't have Junos, so we would absolutely eat a lot of these mines. So it is one of those things where it's like, it's just the small little details. But, yeah, fortunately, able to find a way through. Meanwhile, back towards base, it's time for us to go back into T3 once again. You can see we've got all of our nanos that are hitting this. We've also got a whole bunch of... We've got 16 on either side that are going to be doing this. And we are pumping out Titans because it is around that time that you expect the enemy to be making Titans. So we, of course, want to make Titans to defend ourselves. But now if we take a look at the energy or the metal, we're sitting at about 1k ahead of them. And that's because we've taken out Apex. This was a huge amount of resources that we were able to take out. But not only that, we've also been scaling ourselves. We've got a bunch of AFUS in the back. And our energy conversion is going crazy. Now, one thing to note is we build a lot of converters like this. If there are converters that are in your way, in your game, ask your ally to delete them or remove them. Like this right here, you can see this is 182 converters. They're all on. They're all making metal for us. But if an ally comes and says like, hey, I need this space, you better believe we're going to delete that. We're going to allow them to come in. So do feel free to ask your ally to do it. So I think in this game, people actually ask me to do that. And sometimes you don't always see it, so just maybe be a little bit persistent, because they will definitely do it. But yeah, especially when you build in big blocks like this, it's super easy to do it, to get rid of them. We got how many converters do we actually have? We're sitting on 660 converters. That is an insane amount of converters. We're actually eating some of them at the moment. But yeah, so now we've got ourselves a little bit of Titan spam. We're asking for a gate in here. The trouble is that with the gate, well, when your ally rather makes a whole bunch of dragon claws like this, you can't go past them. You have to go through them. So yeah, we had to reclaim it here, and it's just one of those things where, like, obviously Sunshine's, he's got APM, but does he have the APM to do that right there, right then, when he's got a million other things focusing on? And you know, at the end of the day, he prefers the Titans to be out the front than having to walk all the way around and get to the front. So we clear it out to him. We've also got a nice little blueprint here. I don't know if I can show you the blueprint. No, I can't show it to you. It's quite nice. I've been developing some defensive blueprints in the late game just so that I can sit and like spam them immediately. So it builds 2 annihilators. What are these called? Pulsers. And then it builds the 2 little guys at the front here, the pop-up, the pitbulls, then all the walls. Then it comes back and builds these 2 back here, these 2 Cobras, anti-air turrets, and then it builds finally the bubble. And that's essentially it. And you can see we've got one here, and then we've got one here. We're also building more up here. So I like to get one advanced aircon, and then just all my butlers, I'll just tell them. I'll be like, hey, butlers, can you come up here and just guard this aircon? And that's essentially it. And that's what's happening here. I think that pulsar probably couldn't be placed. So now we got the War of the Titans. This, as I said, this is kind of typical of what you expect at this time frame when your enemy's got GOCs, that Titans are inevitably going to come out, and they do, and we're able to match the enemy position, and we're able to have the pulsar up in time. Pulsar's incredibly powerful because of its range compared to the Titan. You can see here it's got a range of 1400 of the Titan. I don't know what the range is, but, well, let's have a look here and see. It's definitely not accurate what it says here. The range, 464. Yeah, it's not 464. It's much longer than that. Yeah, it means that once you've got like a whole bunch of pulsars up, I think there's a part of me that says, don't get me wrong, like, it's nice to have these blueprints, but in my heart of hearts, I just want a line of pulsars. Like, just make 50 pulsars in a line, bro, and we'll call it a day. Like, that to me is base defense. All right, let's check back in though and see how we're doing. We got ourselves just a little bit of AFUS in the back. I know that we said that you shouldn't make AFUS, but look, you still need to make AFUS, all right? Don't get mad. Still need to make AFUS, but we got to make units. We got to find ways that we can win other than just, as I said, like, the trouble is if you go for a big bombing run and it fails, the enemy will get the message very quickly, and like, you pretty much got one opportunity to go for a big bombing run, and you kill air and hope that people don't realize, hey, I got to make fighters or I got to build AA. Otherwise, that's kind of it. You're just chilling for that moment, and that's the reality. Whereas, like, with these little cheeky tactics, we're able to really hurt the opponent. So how do we think that the meta will change from here? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing more anti-air put here as just like a commonality to defend this. But keep in mind, like, this is a perfectly good place to drop as well. We would happily drop right here. I would also be quite happy to drop over here. I would be happy to drop over here, though there is the Control D as a potential threat. Meanwhile, back towards the top side. Is there anything else interesting to report on? I think this is pretty much it from here. I'm just going to speed it up because it's just a case of us making Titans, them making Titans, and you can see right here Penguin Senpai saying, hey, Drongo, can you Control D these? But I didn't see this. I didn't see this in the game. I only saw it in the replay before I went through this. So, yeah, it's just... And I would honestly say, like, if I saw someone attack, like, at 37 minutes, if you just came up and attacked these, so you want to make sure that they've got space around them, okay? As long as they've got 2 tiles of space around them, just come up, attack them, kill them, and take the space. Absolutely fine. Not a problem. Because the expectation is that space should be given over, right? Like, these are just T1 stuff. They're only built there in the early game because we got the space. We don't have the space anymore, though. So they need to go. So feel free to take them out. Just make sure that they don't chain. So these would chain right here because they are completely adjacent to another building. That would chain these, and then everything here would die. But if you have a look here, the 2 tiles, let's find a constructor that makes a bit more sense. So if we have a look here, so these 2 tiles, as long as there's 2 tiles between them, then they won't chain. So you can see there's more than 2 tiles, and here we got more than 2 tiles, so that's fine. Just go for it. You have my permission to kill my stuff as long as it's like after 30 minutes. I think it's fine. Like before 30 minutes, please. After, yeah. But yeah, so from this point on, it's just a matter of like out-spamming the Titans that are coming through from here, and then pushing back this C. And we could have tried to do this earlier, but the risk that you've got is that you're not able to outmass the enemy, or that the enemy's got a decent number on you. So I typically like to wait until I've actually got, until I know I can win the fight. So I don't like to take a fight unless I know I can win it. So we're going to continue to mass more and more Titans. We send back the low health ones, so any of the ones that get focused down, send them back to the nanos. Our opponent is not able to do that. They could technically do it over here, but of course they don't really have the spare build power for it. They're really focused on just building. And at this stage, you can see that we're more than up, or up by about 3x the opponent's economy. So this is a well and truly one game where our allies are actually doing pretty well. Sunshine's is about half of what we are. Our GOC about half of what we are as well. The enemy sitting about half of what we are as well. So yeah, we're quite big at this point. Unfortunately, this Titan is definitely going to die. I don't know what that guy was doing. So when you're microing Titans, the trick is to just focus down one. So basically, you set target on a single Titan, and when your enemy does that to you, you want to bring all your other Titans forward and that low health Titan back. That's essentially it. So we kind of muck it up a little bit here. We'll slow it down just a little bit. So you can see all of the focus up here by Bear is on this Titan on the edge. And I mustn't have been looking, because what we should now do is we should bring it back. And you can see I bring it back, but it's just too late. And we want to cover it with these Titans so that this Titan can't be attacked. He'll go back, he'll repair. And the same thing goes on here. You can see we've got a whole bunch of idols on our Titans, but we want to continue pushing back this. And once again, a little bit of miss micro. So we've already lost 2 Titans here. So Bear doing a really good job on that micro. By the same token, he probably wants to bring them forward just a little bit so that this one can get back, but he's not going to repair it. That's the reality. He's got nowhere to repair it. He's got no repair bays for himself. And of course, once we take out the T3 lab, that's pretty much it. And you can see Bear saying, good try. Indeed, good try. But that is going to be it. We can 20x to the end. We've got a couple of fighters in here, but that is well and truly it. I think they try for a little bit of a bombing run here. They've got a couple of bombers. Just a few bombers in here. But, of course, it's not going to be any match for Sunshine. Sunshine's with a whole lot of fighters here. We spot out the enemy air as well on the way, so we ping it out. Let Sunshine's know. We don't want to let those bombers get anywhere near. So normally what you see is them set the target on those bombers. So in the end, we're able to be successful in this game against Apex. I tell you what, he's a bit like the... I actually said to him the other game,
Commander has died.
I said it's amazing having you on our team because I feel like you're such a bargain at 34 OS, but God, I hate playing against you. It's such an uphill battle. So in the end, let's take a look and see how the graphs looked. So as we'd expect, we scaled quite well, despite the fact that we were making units early on. We made quite a bit of units here. Well and truly above everybody else. If we take a look at our stats at the end, how'd we do? APM, we're actually behind Sunshine. Here's 106 APM. We're at 93, so well done to Sunshines. And yeah, other than that, I think that's pretty much it. No more to go over. So in the end, success. But yeah, anyway, we'll leave it there and we'll catch you in the next one. Thank you for watching.